All right, guys, N8JRD in the shop, not the shack. And today on the healing bench is the Astron VS-70M. I bought this about a year ago now from the local swap, and I paid $300 for it. Beautiful condition, honestly. It looks like a really late model number VS-70M, but I noticed about a month ago that my voltage meter here was not reading the proper voltage anymore. It was basically pegged off the charts. It was all the way over on the 15 side. I usually run the shack around 14.4 volts. That's a nice voltage for everything that I power with it. But I took it apart here and started to dig in, and I noticed that when I adjusted the voltage with the potentiometer here, nothing was happening. It was just pegged at that 14.95 volts. So my initial thought was that perhaps this meter had gone bad. In fact, I was so confident that it was the meter that I bought a replacement M1 meter from Astron. Those are actually fairly inexpensive, and if you're thinking about getting an Astron, don't let this drive you off. Everything that you see here is very repairable, so I'm not too worried about it. But anyway, what I found was that my potentiometer down here had lost its ground. So it looks like somehow or another one of the wires had come disconnected. Sounds like cold solder joints are a thing on some of these, and so maybe thermal expansion contraction caused that to fail. But I pulled it all apart here, and while I'm in, I'm going to go ahead and do the LED backlight upgrade for this. So if you're familiar with these things, there were three models. They had the M1 meters without any backlighting at all, which is fine if you never look at the meters. And then they have the meters with the incandescent, or just a little orange glowing bulb that sits behind here. Mine is that particular model, so all of these are just the incandescent bulbs. And then the new ones, if you buy them, come with these LED boards already inside. In fact, the new M1 15 volt meter that I bought is actually already set up for LEDs. And we're also going to repair the variable voltage problem while we're in there. So first thing you need to do is pull the two meters out. Those are held in with some little clip ears here. They're just screwed into the back of the meter. So you take those two screws out, and then you can tip the meter forward, and then you can lift it out on an angle. So once you've got those meters out, you're going to have to disconnect two of the binding posts here, or basically screw posts. One of them is, of course, the voltage input, and one of them is just a ground here. And then on the voltage side, the same thing here. So amperes on this side, volts on this side. So once you get the meters out and loose of the actual power supply, there's two screws in the front. They're hidden, of course, by the panel here. And you can undo those two Phillips screws. And then on the back, it's actually two little ears or clips, but they've got a little bit of glue on those. So you have to tip it upward and then try to retain as much of that clip as you can. If you need to, you can scrape it with a little bit of with a knife or something, but you can tip those up and that'll come loose. Then those clips will still work when we put it back together. Once you get inside of the meter, just go ahead and remove two more small Phillips screws from those posts there, and then carefully remove the meter face. That is just a translucent piece of plastic, and set that aside. Be really careful on the needle there. It is very delicate. And then what we're going to do is actually remove that one Phillips screw in the very back. That's going to let us lift this old incandescent lighting board out of the meter. Okay, two small tabs down at the very bottom. Those are actually the power that feed the light. The actual meter input are on the back, and those are those screw posts that we looked at. But those two, you can just reach in with a fine-tipped soldering iron, and you can remove the incandescent lighting board. Connecting the LED board is a little tricky. There's small joints that you need to solder. If you can't get to them though, you can grab them with a pair of pliers and you can pull them up just a little. They're just friction fit into the case, and that will allow you to get a little more purchase on them with the soldering iron so that you can connect those. Very small, and you can see I touched very edge of my meter there, but everything is connected and working, and you won't see that once we put it back together. Give you an alternative method. If you're finding soldering inside the meter too tight, you can actually grab them if you clean up the contacts on the outside and slide them all the way through the meter body. That'll allow you to attach these really positively, and then you can feed them back in from the top, and that will get you the two connections that you need without having to solder inside of the meter housing. All right, push the wires back down in to kind of organize them, get the board sitting flat, and then just one Phillips screw to reattach that LED board to the back of the M1 meter. Continuing to reverse it, so we put the meter face back in. Be really careful on the needle again, it is very close. And if you have bumped the adjustment here, which is this bottom ear, you can go ahead and level the meter out and then use that to adjust before you assemble it again. When you do assemble it and put the faceplate back on, make sure that the pin on the front of the faceplate engages this particular ear so that you have the adjustability through that front dial. And for clarity, this is the pin. That's what allows you to adjust the meter for 0. So make sure that that engages the ear on the actual meter mechanism when you put this back on the front. If you're impatient like me and before you put it back into your power supply, you do want to test to make sure your repair has worked. You can go ahead and give it 5 volts. That'll let it light up enough to tell that your connections are solid. And here's our current meter reassembled. Let's do it for the voltage meter, then we'll put this thing all back together. Carefully tilt it up and rest it on its face. It's resting on the knob, so be really careful with this. But that will allow you to get these 2 metal ears, which hold the meter back in place without the screws continually falling into the unit. So that's the easiest way I've found. So you tip that thing up, push the meter up with your finger, and then get that screw started. Then you can fasten that down. But that is 1 meter in. Now we need to do the voltmeter. One more note, as you install the meter back in, it is very close to your transformer. So you do need to make sure that the negative lead there is bent inward so that it's not touching the coil on your transformer. All right, the last step here is to put the resistor in. And if you have a model that already had the incandescent lights, you're basically going to be using that same power tap right there. And that's the one that the multimeter is connected to pull the power for the lighting. And it needs to be less than what it is currently, which is 22 volts DC, 23 volts really. So we need to put the included resistor, if you bought the kit, in, and that's going to allow you to drop that voltage down to what the LEDs are looking for. I went ahead and soldered that in line with the power supply here, and then just put a little tiny bit of heat shrink over that. Given the lack of insulation inside this thing, the heat shrink was probably not necessary, but it made me feel better at least. So go ahead and put that little heat shrink on there. Then we'll connect this to the power, which will power our 2 LED banks for the 2 meters that we just adjusted. Went ahead and did the same thing on the opposite side of the resistor, and that's just going to give me an easier to solder piece of wire and a little more real estate when I try to pull the meter in and out. So you probably don't have to do this. You could solder the resistor directly to the back of the meter, but this just makes it a little easier, and then I heat shrink that up as well. Couple more while we were in there. So I went ahead and removed the voltage adjust pot, and I soldered on an extension cable to this. This particular wire is the ground for the voltage adjust pot. This is what was broken on mine. It looks like the wire came loose, so I went ahead and added a longer wire that's going to help me when I connect up all of the grounds back to the back of the meter, but also for our new light kit. So a couple of things here while we were in here. I also went ahead and spliced in an extension wire here for the power on that side. So this will just make it easy to slide that meter in and out of the front of the unit without working inside of the actual box. Okay, went ahead and bundled up the negatives, and that yellow wire is actually the potentiometer ground for the voltage adjustment. Everything else is the ground for the other LED, and the one that we're putting in now, you can see the resistor wire that we installed, and then the extension that we brought out to just make this easier to connect. So we'll put this all back in, connect those final couple of fasteners, and this thing should be ready to go. All right, buttoned it all back up here, and it is plugged in, so we'll keep our fingers out of the way, but you can see some extension wires here. A little more busy, but let's be real, that's not going to cause any problem. It made it way easier to install that meter after I soldered it. And then down in front here, we have the LED meters, and my adjustability is back. So we've got that fixed along with upgrading the LED meters on my Astron VS-70M. So just double checking, it's at 14.2 volts, and you can see there, if I square you up, pretty darn close. You can adjust 2 things. So the front meter here, you can zero it with this adjustment, and then inside there's a small potentiometer at the resistor there, and you can use that to adjust the output accordingly. So 2 adjustments to make when you button this back up. But this is the Astron VS-70M, and a little LED upgrade, as well as a fix for my variable voltage, which I'll show you does work now. And so we knocked out another one here on the Everyday Ham. Zen 8 GRD, 73s everybody.